notion of whacking a snake, which is, he said,
Did
you should whack the snake if the snake is not responding. The first part of it, he said, if justified, you should whack the snake. And if the snake isn't responding because it's bigger than you and has bad teeth, you should ask your friends to do it. My response was, that sounds like a revolution.
No, you get help. Well, no, it could be just political action. It could be sue him in court. It could be, sue him in small claims court.
But my question, it was in response to a question on my end, which was, is violence ever justified?
Well, now I have got to correct this. Listen, hold it, just a second. It is not the point. You have raised a wrong point. Your question should be, when is physical force, not violence, justified? Because since the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of every state have justified physical force by altering or changing the government by whatever means we deem expedient, is in both of those documents. Read them if you don't believe me. Therefore, the use of physical force is not violence. Violence is unlawful use. It's totally lawful and totally appropriate to use physical force against a tyrant and a despot who is acting outside the restraints of his Constitution.
Excellent.
So in what circumstances would physical force be justified?
I'll tell you where physical force would have been justified in my case. It was on April 10th, 2009. I made a U-turn, which was not illegal, okay? He didn't even know what the law was. I'm very knowledgeable of traffic laws. I've been a fast driver all my life, and I know traffic laws, okay? He charged me with 316.074, which is for running a red light. But 316.50, but he charged me for doing an illegal U-turn, which is 316.1515 that requires a sign to be posted. There's no sign on the intersection where I was, okay? Once I got turned, I saw him coming. So it's no doubt about, you know, there's a police in the area, so if I'm going to do something, I'm going to make sure that I'm within the law. Made the turn, getting ready to take a right turn on First Street in Lakeland, city of Lakeland, at the intersection of Florida Avenue and Memorial Boulevard. As I was getting ready to turn on right on First Street, I noticed a police officer in the back of me with his light on. I'm thinking he got a call to go north, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of his way. When I make a right-hand turn, he turns in behind me. Okay? At this point, I'm thinking he got a call too late to make his turn on Memorial Boulevard. He's going down First Street to get to Lake Mills Boulevard. So I pull over to let him by. He pulls in behind me, so I'm sitting there with my foot on the brake and the engine's still running, expecting him to come up and tell me what he's going to do. But he can't be. He's going to ask me something. I mean, I didn't do anything. So when I let the window down, he walked up and stood behind the window a little bit to the rear and said, "Let me see your driver's license, insurance card, and registration." I carry him in my front pocket and I'm all strapped in. I need to ask permission to get out. So I said, "Well, what are you charging me with?" Just to find out why he stopped me. He reached in and hit my automatic locks. The locks popped open. He caught the door and opened and called me by the arm, started to pull me out the car. So I'm thinking false. I had to rush and put my car in park, switch it off and get out. And I'm thinking false arrest in my mind. And he was only about, I saw a fear kind of come over when I stepped out the car. I was a whole lot larger than what he thought I was, so I could tell that. But he ain't got no reason to be afraid of me. So he put the cuff on me, and I'm thinking false arrest, but he tightened up about 2 clicks too tight. So I brought my right hand up. I said, hold on, man. I said, you got to loosen up this cuff. You're cutting off my circulation. He took the bottom left end and twisted down the cuff, trying to force my arm behind me. And when he couldn't get it to go back there because he wasn't big enough and strong enough, he started tasing me. He wound up tasing me 9 times. He tased me until backup came. They put enough pressure on my head to cause a severe hematoma. I had to have 3 brain surgeries as a result of it. I had 2 on the 15th of May. It took about 2 or 3 weeks for me to start to lose my balance and stumble and fall and that kind of stuff. And so I had a torn meniscus in my left knee, so it re-entered that. So I'm thinking it's my knee, but it was my head all the time. 2 surgeries. When I came out of the hospital on June 1st of 2009, they sent me to Tampa General for rehab for 5 to 6 months. Okay. When I got over there, they determined I needed something more than rehab, sent me for another surgery, and then on the 4th of June, they performed the 3rd surgery, and they dismissed me on the 9th, and I've been getting better ever since. It took me 9 days then to rehab.
Did you take any recourse?
Pardon me?
Did you take any legal recourse?
They charged me with a whole bunch of crap trying to justify what they had done to me. They charged me with resisting with violence and without violence. The Supreme Court of Florida said that's double jeopardy. It's either one or the other or neither, but it's not both. But he charged me for doing the U-turn. But if I made a circle instead of a U-turn, and if I had all my lights out instead of one brake light out, okay, there was no reason to arrest me. He arrested me, charged me for resisting because I pulled my hand back when he caught my arm to take my seatbelt off so I could get out of the car.
So this story you would say is physical force would be justifiable in response to
physical force would have definitely been justified in that case. They almost killed me, and I had committed no crime, and I have gone to court. They have not even charged me with a crime in open court. They never arraigned me. They never determined whether I was injured. They appointed me a public defender. I've had 5 attorneys withdraw. I've gone to court 38 times, and they selected 2 juries, one on April 19th of 2010, and they dismissed it on the 21st. They selected another one on the 29th of November 2010 and dismissed it on the 1st of December and have not tried me. They did that, trying to intimidate me. I went and the prosecutor on the case now has been there since the 306th day after I was arrested, which was the 10th of February 2010, and I went and bought the transcript. They don't even have a transcript for the first time I was in court on the 12th of May 2009.
Does this say something larger to you about the nature of our government? Does this incident in which you were involved say something larger to you about the nature of our government?
It's larger.
Is there a larger issue here beyond just what happened?
Well,
to you?
it's getting in my opinion, it's getting progressively worse. Okay, they use about 95 to 96% of the people. They force them to enter like a no contest plea agreement. Okay, they ain't done nothing but making profit. In my opinion, the local courts is nothing but banks, branch banks for the Federal Reserve. They ain't done nothing but raking in money and robbing people, in my opinion.
In other words, to answer to your question, this is a systemic problem. In Polk County, where he lives, there are issue after issue after issue of abuse by the sheriff and the police department and the state attorney and the judges. All of them seem in collusion to deprive people of their justice, of the remedy and the relief they have the reason to expect from court.
Pardon me? It never made the news. I call report after reporter. I can't get anybody to cover the story. It's never made anything. Okay, and they publish everything. Lakeland Ledger over there, they do everything. I mean.
So you're saying that in essence, like the news is always showing the bad, the stuff in light of the police office, but not showing the other sides too.
The internal affairs investigator over there, the person in charge of it, she gave him a clear report. But then when she was summoned to a deposition on the 28th and 29th, well, there were 5 of them, on the 28th and 29th of last year of March 28th and 29th of 2011, all 5 of them stated that he violated policy. So if he violated policy, how did he get a clear report? You know? And I've gone to court 38 times, like I say, and they have never even arraigned me. They got, and the first 4 transcript, but they don't have one for the first time I went, the 12th of May. The 26th of August, 7th of October, and the 10th of February, the official court reporters start the case off. This is a domestic violence injunction hearing.
These are the types of things, at least from a middle person coming in and seeing what's on the TV and then coming and seeing these things, and he's got, evidence and, people backing out of depositions and stuff. I mean, and he's given dates and specifics. It's hard for me to think like he's lying, and so so you see both sides.
I don't know anybody. I don't know a single person that would not have already been convicted, okay, with what I was charged with. But my civil attorney tried to get me in a no contest plea to refusing to give fingerprints, and they were going to dismiss everything else. But that would have let the judges and I'm more upset with the judges and the prosecutors than I am with the police officer. Because the police officer, what they did to me, they did it out of ignorance and lack of training. But what the judges and the prosecutors have done to me, they done it because they're trying to protect that corrupt system, and they think they're smarter than me. And I could not, in good conscience, enter a no contest plea to refusing to give fingerprints when there was no requirement for me to give fingerprints, because I would have regretted it the rest of my life. I would rather be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole than to plead to something that I didn't do. I cannot do it.
By the way, this is the same courthouse where the judge had the bailiffs pick me up and carry me bodily out of the courthouse because I wouldn't give the judge my name. As an observer, not a participant in the court case.
And this judge on my case now, he's the only one that's shown on there is the judge that's on the case. I've been before 7 different judges. Only 2 of them are showing up on the record, and only one of the 2 I've actually gone before. That record is so screwed up, It's unreal over there.
What does sovereignty mean? When that term gets tossed around, what does that mean?
What it really means is this. The people of the United States and the people of the individual states, the several states, are the source of the sovereignty that government possesses. They yield a portion of their personal sovereignty to government in a trust defined by the constitutions and supported by the loyalty oaths of those who perform government service. And that means that the people have the right at all times to remove that sovereignty that they have yielded to government and take it back and give it to someone else if they wish, or to keep it among themselves.
But it's commonly described, sovereigns are commonly described as people who do not believe the laws of this country apply to them.
There are some foolish people who are
misconstrued. The people are the sovereign. It's the sovereign that create the government. The government didn't create the people. The sovereign is the master, okay? You don't create your master, okay? The master does the creating.
The concept is to differentiate
in my opinion,
the United States as a republic and England as a monarchy.
So what's the practical ramification of what you're describing?
Practical ramification is whoever's closest to the snake, grab a stick and whack it. That means take personal, take personal, individual responsibility to correct the situation. In his case,
a different analogy that you're talking about quality control.
The snake, in my opinion, will be the one to commit the wrong.
The snake is not. I mean, that I understand the picture you're painting, but I would say it's more like you're wanting to educate people so that they can create a quality control for the government, right?
That's right.
Is that okay?
And we want to educate people so they will not only learn that they must take individual responsibility in as peaceable a way as they can and in the least harmful way, but that we want them to know how to take responsibility. In James's case, he's helpless. His brain was injured as a result of the assault from these police. He's out completely unlawful arrest, and he can't defend himself properly, but yet he has done it anyway. He needs a host of people to come to court and support him and be in front of that judge and be taking notes and looking at the judge and the bailiffs to make sure they don't further abuse him, because they will, and they have.
The first time the judge is on the case, now came to the case, I'm trying to explain to him what has happened and what should have happened and what has been omitted. He didn't want to hear it. He ordered me removed from the courtroom. On 2 other occasions, he ordered me removed from the courtroom. Okay?
And he's
supposed to be fair and unbiased.
He needs assistance to bring a complaint against the judge in the House Judiciary Committee and the Judicial Qualifications Commission, complaint in internal affairs against the police involved in his arrest who lied about him and have committed perjury egregiously. He needs criminal complaints filed against them, and it takes an organization of people to make this happen.
Let me just get a little broader. Do people here believe that you need to have driver's licenses?
Yes.
If you engage in commerce, you don't need to travel. You really don't need one to travel. You need it if you're engaged in commerce. But in order to driving and traveling look the same, but a guy asked me, he said, if a cowboy is out on the prairie, if he's riding a horse from point A to point B, is he driving or is he traveling? If he's going from point A to point B, he can be traveling. If he's herding cattle or something and engaged in commerce, then he's driving.
So do you have a driver's license?
Yes, I have a driver's license.
What about license plate?
I have a license plate. But the law don't require you to have one. Ignorance will require people to have one, not the law.
Well,
in my opinion.
Okay, see, we have a difference of opinion.
And every law has a statute number to it. If you can't find it in the statute, then it doesn't exist.
Well, this is the difference between freedom seekers and truth seekers, because I can sit here and listen to both of yours, and then I can go home and research myself.
Yeah.
Just like I came here, like I had no idea that there were United States concentration camps. No clue.
Are there?
Over 900 of them.
Where are they?
There's one in, let's see, right outside of Atlanta. That's where they keep, I guess,
concentration camp.
Concentration camps.
Set up by the government.
Yes, by FEMA.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't believe this, and I would have never known about this. You can Google it. Google United States concentration camps, and there's like hundreds of them. And then Ventura?
But you could Google the Easter Bunny, and that will come up too.
But Ventura, the governor, right?
Camps and you'll get
and you can find out where they're located.
I know, but I'm saying you could Google the Easter Bunny and find out where he's located.
Let me finish this really quick, okay? So then Governor Ventura actually showed up to one with the camera crew and everything, okay? And I would not have believed it myself until I saw them videotape all the different ones, and you can see them, you can go drive up to them, and you have everything all over with personal people going and driving through these things and videoing it all. I would have never believed this if I didn't see it with my own eyes. I would have never believed it if I didn't Google it and do my own research, and the evidence is overwhelming, and you're getting a hold of this information from all these different people that are going and showing the same exact video footage of the same place. You know, but this is not covered and shown up on, you know, the news going, hi, we have concentration camps that are wide open that are ready for people, and they've got all of this stuff. And I was like, in Louisiana, if we have so many concentration camps, why were there trailers brought in versus letting them utilize these residential centers, as they call them? You know, there's over 900 of them.
Go read 27 CFR 72.11, said all crimes are commercial. Former Chief Justice Charles Rehnquist said that everybody in prison, both state and federal, are there voluntarily. Okay? They cannot lawfully send you to prison without your consent, but people consent out of ignorance.
What he really
if I
meant,
get convicted of a crime
Excuse me.
and they send me to prison, I don't have to go?
No, that's not true. What he meant was, when he said that,
You have not committed a
a
crime.
behavior that you engaged in led to your incarceration, ultimately, because the court convicted you and sentenced you to jail term. But your behavior, which you voluntarily did, is what caused you to get put in
But if I
jail.
steal $5 from this man, that's a crime, right?
No, if you what?
If I steal $5 from this gentleman right here, that's a crime, right?
Yeah, it's a common law theft.
Right. So if they want to punish me for that, isn't
But
there
look
legal
how many people got
justification?
in prison. I got a sister in prison right now. She's been in there 14 years. Never committed a crime. Had no. I got a nephew. Just got. And you can look that up in the daily report. On the 29th of December, this Georgia Court of Appeals said that they revoked his probation illegally without cause on the 7th of July in 2009, okay? He's been in, 2010. He's been in jail 622 days as of today, and they did it wrongfully. And they sent him out of Coffee County, Georgia, a private institution, okay, back to Tifton this afternoon. And we was trying to find, we called last night and say they told him to pack his bag, and people in Tifton didn't even know he was coming.
So let me ask you, if you believe that the government is setting up concentration camps and that the judges are tyrannical and ripping you off and sending people to prison unnecessarily and cops are beating people unnecessarily, what is the appropriate response? What are you suggesting be done?
People gotta learn, educate themselves so they can hopefully avoid it.
So
If I didn't know, and I don't know if I know enough, but if I didn't know as much as I do know, I would already be in prison. Okay, I would already be doing, and I ain't done nothing.
Where does this lead to the overthrow of the current government, or
No.
At least
No, just
everyone-
trying to get out the bad apples. The rod people
That's
trying
right.
to make the people in there do what they're supposed to do. What they've
Here's
taken an
another
oath to
scenario
do.
recently that happened, at least that I had with a friend of mine. So my girlfriend, she's getting beat up by her significant other in a vehicle. So she's on her phone, she's calling 911 and everything. Eventually the phone gets thrown out of the window. The cops show up. She's the one who gets arrested and goes to jail. Never committed anything in her life, and she's, you know, and so she goes to jail over the weekend and everything, and she's the one who has to show up for court. So this goes on now for, I think it's been about 5 or 6 months. She is horrified with all this. She finally went to court this week, actually, and it all got dismissed. But when she showed up, or the cops showed up, they treated her the same kind of way, and until the attorney, she came to me, because people come to me for, you know, answers. If they didn't have people that really knew how to work the system with being educated to handle that situation properly, she could be in jail right now. You know, and luckily
There's
then
too many people in
yeah,
jail
and it's
that haven't
happening
done a
all the
thing.
time.
Think of
So,
thing.
yes.
I know people in jail that haven't done a thing. I mean, it's only the grace of God that I'm not in jail and I didn't do nothing. I mean, the cop didn't even charge me with crime. He said I did one thing, but he charged me under something else.
I guess my question is, if you believe that the government is committing the types of wrongs,
That's not the government. That guy's not the government. He just worked for the sorry
What
government.
I'm saying is, if you believe there are all these people wrongfully in prison, that they're setting up concentration camps, if you believe all of this, you think the appropriate response is to have coffee and eggs and discuss legal remedies, or do you believe that some sort of forceful response needs to be mounted. That's my question.
Before that's answered, let us ask you a question. Sure. Because evidently you don't believe all this, right? Are you the one that thinks that we're like a bunch of like maybe possibly crazed people that are coming up with fanciful ideals or some ideals solutions? But I mean, we're asking you, what do you believe? What do you think?
What do I believe about what specifically?
The question that you're asking us, you must have some preconceived notions about them. What do you think about it?
I have personally seen no evidence that the government is setting up concentration camps. And let's just remember what a concentration camp is. It's where they systematically execute people.
No,
yes.
Concentration camp simply means a place to put people. A great big place with a fence around it, guard stations, and barracks in it, so you can put people in it.
Let me say something.
These are not unused military installations. They're brand new, freshly built, chain link fence type installations with razor wire on the top.
Let me say something. All you have to do is go on the internet and Google Rex 84.
You can Google.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Google Rex 84. Also, do your research when Oliver North went to before Congress about the Iran-Contra scandal, and during his trial, he mentioned concentration camps that were converted military bases. This is during a congressional hearing about his Iran-Contra with him and General Poindexter, Admiral Poindexter. So it's not a matter of people thinking that they're crazy, but thinking people are crazy. But I have a question for you then. If you're saying that you've not seen any, so I'm curious, do you actually think that a government, whether it's our government or any government, would not secretly exhibit behavior that they would not want the people to be aware of, that's not in the best interest of the people?
History has shown time and again that the government has hid things from people.
Okay, well, and the only reason I asked that because you said you've not seen that, it's because you've not been sensitized to it. Once you've been sensitized to the situation, for example, have you ever bought a car?
Yes.
Okay, and then all of a sudden after you buy your particular car, you start noticing that car everywhere you go,
right,
but you've not noticed it before?
Same thing happens when you learn a new word.
Exactly.
But I take your point, but let me just get, my question was, if you believe all of these things about this government, what is the remedy you're proposing? Simply sitting around and educating yourselves, or is there some sort of forceful response that you are not?
We're meeting to try to develop strategies to deal with it in the best way we come up with.
The very first thing you do,
we don't know what we're going to do.
Studying.
We don't know what's needed yet.
You start studying and learn the law. Study and learn the history of processes people have used. There's a lot of it that starts, the Declaration of Independence summarizes some of it, but you start studying the methodology used to eliminate tyrants and tyranny from government. And of all of those, the most terrifying and horrible of all of them is physical force.
So how do you respond when there are people in law enforcement who say that people in the sovereign movement are essentially domestic terrorists?
What else are they going to say?
They're ill-informed, or they've been so sensitized to criminal behavior they think everybody's a criminal. You know what? I met a guy one time who gave me signals like, hey man, you know where I can get some weed? Things like that. Asked me this. I said, no. Why? He says, oh man, everybody smokes weed. My point is, to someone who lives that life, everybody is one like him. To the police who deal with thuggery constantly because they are thugs, that doesn't mean they're always illegal or unlawful thugs, but they are thugs. To the police, brutal behavior is to be expected from people, especially those who aren't cut from the same cloth as everybody else, who become to some kind of national prominence because of things like Ruby Ridge or Jerry and Joe Kane. These things create a public awareness or a public thought, I guess you'd say, which the police so easily adopt to their own purposes. These guys are bad guys over here. They bear watching at all times. They can't be trusted. But if we have given you clear evidence tonight that all of that is bogus nonsense, there are people who are beside themselves, who go nuts, who do the wrong thing, who take incorrect behaviors, who are improperly educated, who fly off the handle. But we're not them. And most people in America are not them. They are grave exceptions to the rule. Why focus your attention on them? focus on us and what we try to do.
A lot of this stuff is being taught. And I tell people all the time, if you've never seen anything but wrong, you don't even know what right is, okay? You'll think that's right after time. People learn through spaced repetition, okay? Regardless of what it is, you know, you see it and you see it and you see it and you see it, and after a while it's right. Even in training, I'm a graduate of Lexington Police Academy, my wife and I, and we did that back about probably the early 90s, about the mid-90s anyway. And during that time, and I was the only one in there that thought, there was some other blacks in there, but I was the only one that thought it was wrong. For them, in all the training, they always portrayed the blacks as the criminals, and the white police officer was the law enforcement, was making sure that these, you know, even the targets they shot at in training, they're black targets. You know, you condition a person's mind when you do that kind of stuff.
Well, a lot of it too. I mean, it's these meetings. You can go into all these specifics and stuff, but the gist of the underlying thing, it's waking people up to actually not be going through life as the living dead. You know, it'll actually let you go ahead and open your eyes and go do the research yourself. Like right here on my phone, I pulled it up. Ventura's camera crew is actually videoing the place, and you can see it for yourself, and then you can go do your own research when you go home, right? Go on YouTube, take a look for yourself, whether it's that's happening. But what happens is when you become aware and you start seeing what's happening, and then you come to these types of groups, or you go to attorneys, or you go and you find answers to these solutions, it allows each person to then become self-sufficient with handling and doing a quality control check on their own lives right now. And then when shit hits the fan, I can guarantee you people will be starting to clamor together because they've kind of known that this stuff has been going on, while the, you know, as I call it, the little theatrical event that's kind of going, these distractions that are happening, there's other things going on behind the curtains that people are starting to pick up on and look the other direction and not necessarily look that way.
When the government says the sovereign citizens are a domestic terrorist movement, what's your response?
But that's not the only lie they've told.
I don't really, I honestly, I don't watch the news and stuff like that, so I don't really go.
This is the government saying it on their own website.
Well, that's an oxymoron to begin with.
Well, I don't look at that kind of stuff. Like, I'm too busy out there being productive and educating and, you know, being, you know, positive influence in the environment. I don't watch reality shows and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I don't know what they're saying. Honestly, I don't. I'm coming to these meetings and I'm listening and I'm getting the back end stuff. But whenever I look at what's on television and then I'm coming here and I'm learning like about these concentration camps, I'm looking at this stuff and then I hear about this stuff happening to people that I know, and I see people losing their homes, and I see people, you know, having all these things, you know, being done to them, and they have no idea what the answer is.
And when it comes to losing homes, I'm a realtor, okay, and they come to losing, every list pendants I've ever seen, okay, except one, and that was mine, they start off with count one as to why they've defaulted on the loan, but in count two, they say that the original note and mortgage has either been lost or misplaced. They ask the court to allow them to create new documentation so they can proceed with the loan, so they can have what they call subject matter jurisdiction. But then they never mention that again because the people are not aware, and they go ahead and foreclose on the property. Mine was one, but I had already started counting. I got it on February 1st. It was dated for February 1st. They actually mailed it to me on the 17th of February 2009. Said on February 1st, my loan balance was 0,000. But on the same paper, on February 6th, 2009, I created a new loan in the amount of $102,040.21. Okay, I had not created a new loan. I had refinanced in November of 02. My first payment came due. I signed a voided check and authorized them to debit my account, and they debited every month religiously, and there was always money there to pay it through January of 09. And like I say, they claimed they changed lenders or changed services or something. Sent me that, so I started challenging them to who signed that loan, because I didn't sign. Anybody can pay off my loan, but nobody can take out a loan in my name, okay?
You're losing everyone on the details, just so you know.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to lose you. I'm trying to follow up.
Well, the gist of his things were not done properly, is my guess.
Yeah, the gist of the thing, they file a list pendants on me.
But the only way that anyone would know that it wasn't done properly was someone can come to this meeting and go, maybe let me go talk to an attorney about this. And I did that. No, and then they actually can show me, go, now how is this process supposed to be done? Explain it to me. And then the attorney
Can I just refocus it? I just want to give you guys a chance, because we interviewed a major law enforcement official today who said the sovereign movement is domestic terrorism. So I just want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Really? It's more like
I'm gonna say this. I worked in law enforcement, and how can a group of people that are merely trying to get those same people that call them terrorists to do their job according to the law be terrorists? That makes no sense. That defies logic in and of itself.
However, you got more terrorists wearing blue uniforms than you ever have outside, in my opinion.
However,
the law enforcement is the terrorists.
However, if you have an objective, and an objective is to intimidate and stop people from waking up and take advantage of their rights and their laws, then that kind of nonsense makes sense. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, people are trying to say everything's A-okay, just like that cruise ship, right? Everything's A-okay, it's just an electrical failure.
Right.
And guys, whenever your common sense is telling you something's not working, right? There's no right and wrong. There's what works and what doesn't work, and whatever the heck's going on right now isn't working for a lot of people.
But the thing is, when you have, you're right. But in this case, there is a right or wrong, because the law says it's done this way. And if you're over here doing anything other because you have an objective, if it's taking people's homes through hook or crook or wherever you want to do, then there is a right or wrong. There's a way to do it, and then there's a way. And if you're not doing it this way, then anything else you do is illegal. So if you have
over here, I'd actually said something before. I didn't give you a chance to finish. You said, sir, over there, you said something was an oxymoron.
A sovereign citizen is an oxymoron.
What do you mean by that?
Well, sovereign means you're a king, and citizen means you're a slave. So how can it be?
So what is the sovereignty movement then, in your view?
Who's calling it that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I can tell you. Sorry, I shouldn't have said I don't know. The federal government calls it that. I hear people in the movement say the word sovereign.
Who is the federal government?
I would say that the government is wrong.
So.
And the government must understand what sovereignty is, and that we are the commanders of our government. The United States citizens, we are the commanders, and the government works for us. And whoever said that to you needs a lesson in constitutionality.
Excuse me, may I make another observation here?
Yes.
You see, look, people in government are not government. Okay? There are individuals who do jobs in government, and some of those individuals wrote a report because somebody above them said, write this report. Sovereign citizens are evil. We're scared of them. Look out. That's what they said. Why? Because they read the court cases and they see examples of people who claimed they were sovereign citizens committing crimes, and they arrest them, try them, convict them, and put them in jail, come to the conclusion, people who say they're sovereign citizens, we better look out for them because there's at least one stripe of them that are evil and that are dangerous. Well, that means that anybody who believes, A, that sovereignty flows from him to government in a republic, and that he is a citizen, meaning he has responsibilities to maintain that republic and to do his civic duties, he is now a criminal in the mind of certain people in government who deal with people who call themselves sovereign citizens. My point is, you're dealing with apples and oranges. There are people doing good things like we do, which is trying to learn the law, become educated, not become educated bozos, learn the truth, not patriot mythology, and employ these truths in exercising our civic responsibilities to keep government honest and make them, the government actors, have integrity. And there are other people in society who, under the color of such behavior, decide that a militia just isn't good enough. We need to go rob a bank because the man has his money there, or something, some craziness.
So you'll admit there are people associated with this movement who have committed unjust.
There are evil bankers
just like
that
there's
destroy the
police officers
reputations
too,
of banks.
that there's bad ones. And I tell this to, I've had a lot of residents, and they always say, I hate the police, I hate this, I hate that. And I look at them and I say, And when someone's crawling through your window and robbing you, who's the first person you call? I'm like, don't say that. I go, there might be some, in every single group there's always bad eggs and good eggs, or bad eggs and good eggs. But I mean, as a whole, just being aware of your surroundings and waking up and seeing what's going on. And yes, when you do start researching this stuff, because I would have never turned that page or looked behind that curtain unless I had shown up to one of these meetings, right? To look. But when you start looking and you start digging, you start getting emotional. Because you're like, I've been asleep for this long, you know.
Asleep
wow.
to what?
Asleep to, you know.
Reality.
Yeah, to things that, because I never thought that these police things would happen to people until they start happening.
I never thought.
And then all of a sudden, I'm getting
me.
phone calls, you know, over
That
the years, all of a
crossed my
sudden
mind.
these things are happening to people that I know would never, you know, do bad things. And
Asleep to the reality
Or
that,
is
that
it-
the government's out of control, or what's the reality?
that there's things going on that we're not being told about.
We moving to a police
All right,
state.
let me-
We are
Let me-
definitely moving toward a
Let me
police
say
state.
this. Let me say this. I had a
For
lady,
sure.
I had a lady that worked with me at City Court. She's German, and this was in 2006, 2007, and she's about my age. She's about 54. And I remember we were talking one day, and she said that right now in this country, she's afraid. I said, "What are you afraid of?" The same identical things, the same laws, the same environment, the same everything. It's just like in Germany before the Nazis took over Germany. Now this is a German that came and said the same. So when you say a government out of control, here you have someone that's a German citizen that's now a United States citizen saying this government, this environment is starting to look like my home did before this happened. It's just like Bonnie said. You get a feel, you get a sense of something's not quite right.
When you start looking, you're going to start seeing it. And
When you
it's
get-
very weird.
The more you look at 9/11, the more you realize it's something there that's not right. I don't know what it is, but it's something with
But it's
that.
like Bonnie said,
terribly wrong.
if you had
And that
this-
was an inside job, I do believe. I will always believe, just from my own personal research.
It's like
This stuff
saying
that
that
just
everybody
doesn't make
that's
sense.
a
Just does
sovereign
not add up.
citizen is a criminal. It's like saying then,
All
based
lawyers
upon the
are
police,
criminals.
the police that beat him up, then every police is a criminal.
So Joe and Jerry Kane, there's videotape of Joe Kane getting out of that car, firing the gun. Do you believe that they were set up? Falsely
Here's what I
accused?
believe. And I believe this because of the testimony of Donna Lee Ray, who is Jerry Kane's alleged common-law wife. That's what she claims. She did as much of an analysis on the incident as she could. She requested the tapes of the dashboard cameras video, and it took them more than a month and a half to get them to her. And when she got them and viewed them, they showed a different. They demonstrated that in comparison to the news videos that were taken by the news crews who showed up on the scene after the incident, that the vehicles from the dashboard cameras were in different locations from what they were in the newsreel. What does that tell you?
So you think that the whole thing was fake?
They doctored the video. They created new video, put actors in them, and made them do this. Here, the FedEx driver driving down the highway that saw the initial shooting of those officers on the highway claimed there are two Hispanic men shooting at killing these cops.
Listen
Listen to what I'm saying.
We don't
And
know.
that
I mean,
they
there's all
drove
kinds
a
of.
white van with an orange roof. Joe and Jerry Kane had a white van with a white roof, and they were a mile and a half away. You have to ask yourself, why would the FedEx driver make such a statement when these two guys are obviously Caucasians, they're not Hispanic at all? And when they didn't have a vehicle with an orange roof, why would the SWAT team jump in and murder them and destroy any opportunity for these people to rebut the charges against
It's
them?
an elaborate thing to do. You're saying they staged a video with a 16-year-old hopping out of a car, firing
That's
and killing.
right, they got actors, they reenacted the scene, and they did it in the wrong location,
Why?
which gave away the scam.
Why? Why would they do that?
Because they had murdered Joe and Jerry Kane. And they're going to have to cover this up somehow or make it look justified.
In my case, and it wasn't nothing seriously, it wasn't remotely nothing on that scale. There was 7 police cars out there. They all supposed to activate those dash cameras when they activate the emergency lights. It was 7 police cars out there, and not a single one of them had a camera on.
Do you think Joe and Jerry Kane were murdered, and that the allegations that they killed police are false?
Yes.
I don't know that
I
much
believe
about that
that
particular
100%.
case, but I'm talking about my case, okay?
Not only that,
There was.
These are all opinions too. I mean, and just they're just something. And
But
look
you
at
cannot
this.
believe
Why-
everything you see
Why right
in the
now
news.
would
I know that.
United States soldiers right now be breaking protocol and literally crying out to the public through the internet and everything, and letting everyone know that something's not right, that they're currently being sent to trainings for roadblocks, for doing all of this strange stuff, where these U.S. soldiers are literally going, I want people to know you've got to spread this around, because, I mean, we're being trained to do some very bizarre things, and they go, you know, we took an oath to
Going to
uphold the
police state.
Constitution, and we just want you to
Going to
know
a
that
police
there is
state.
something
I guarantee
not
you
right
that.
going on, and we're not saying that whenever it comes down that they're going to be enforcing these strange things they're being asked to do, but they're letting it out, and they're just bringing it to people's attention to wake up.
Do you agree
know?
with this gentleman that we're heading toward a police state, possibly?
I don't know. I
Everything
don't
points to
know.
that.
I'm hoping that
Everything.
everyone wakes up to where everyone realizes everyone's awake, that no one would be able to get away with that. I hope that everyone wakes up fast enough, does enough research, and it spreads, because if there's enough social people realizing what's happening before it happens, I think at that point it won't be a sneak attack kind of thing. It'll be more like, you know, everyone's kind of going, oh,
But
okay,
you
yeah.
watch, you watch these
That's
cop
happening.
shows on television and see how wrong and how far outside. But what they're doing, they're conditioning people to accept that crap. I mean, that I have not seen one that was in accordance with the laws, as I understand it. And I studied pretty
Listen,
intensely.
I want to give you some history here.
They forced me to.
In 2006, when I began to get interested in these legal issues, you didn't hear my introduction in which I explained this starting of my investigation of loyalty oaths in Florida. But the bottom line of it is that I got involved in studying the law and observing whether people in government had obeyed the law in the most primitive sense. They swore a loyalty oath that's required by the law. And what that led me to was a disclosure that not a single person elected or appointed in government for 6 years validly held office.
And,
So now
and it's
then,
illegal
what do
for
you
them to get
expect?
paid without that oath.
What do you expect the government officials who are sitting there mulling over what to do, what decision do you think they're going to make? Are we going to overturn every judicial act in the last 6 years and release all those prisoners from jail and pay them a fee for injuring them? No. We're going to sweep it under the carpet, and that's what they did. Now, I don't take great exception to that, because my biggest worry is not whether or not they went through a technicality of swearing an oath. My worry is they will, on an individual basis, feel bound in some respect to obey that oath when under pressure. And judges get under pressure a lot, and so do police people. That's why we make them swear that oath.
This legal official that said that
So
sovereign
that's
people
what I
and
worry
stuff
about.
were domestic terrorists. What,
Yeah.
what did he say that they were doing? Because I mean, from what I've seen, it's a lot of people
The
getting.
FBI has it on their webpage.
Okay.
They list
Yeah,
sovereign citizens
Yeah,
as
what proof have they given? What proof did they show you that we are?
Well, this person I spoke to today was Bob Powder, who's the father of one of the cops who was killed in West Memphis, Arkansas.
You talked to him today?
Yeah.
Well, he is probably, besides being the top cop in the area, a crook, with crooked son and a crooked nephew that were taking bribes and doing various other things. Have you checked him out? Have you looked at the complaints in the community about this man and his family? Guess what? He may be just as dirty as he could be, and you're giving him a free ride and a pass and not examining his record and to see whether he has a motive to lie. Well, of course he does. He's going to make it seem like his boys were doing the right thing and they got murdered. Well, maybe they were, but maybe they didn't get murdered by Joe and Jerry Kane, and he has intentionally worked to cover this fact up. Instead of trying to accuse Hispanic drug runners of killing them, they accuse Joe and Jerry Kane, who are totally innocent.
Did you
Now,
research this?
What's the
official?
motive for this? Who cares the motive? The cop lied.
Right. But you were saying something, sir.
No, I was just asking you, what proof did this law enforcement officer give to you that to make his claim that the sovereigns are a domestic terrorist group.
His argument is sovereigns don't believe that the laws of the nation
No, I
apply
asked
to
for
them.
what.
How does he know what they
proof?
believe?
I asked him.
He
proof.
points to
Did he
incidents.
give you documentation? Did he show you some
That's an
information?
opinion, you know?
That's exactly his opinion. Exactly.
He points to incidents of violence committed by sovereign citizens,
So what violence and what
including
sovereign
the
citizen?
murder of his son.
And wouldn't that be the minority?
I mean,
of
isn't that a fair argument?
But
No,
you
I don't
can't,
think
but
that's
one
fair.
incident,
Why
you
not?
can't cluster
No,
upon
just
one
be-
person.
Just what she said. Just because of one incident, isolated incident, that you're going to lay this claim on
Exactly.
all sovereigns throughout the United States?
Exactly.
No,
And
that's
you
not
got
correct.
no real
So
proof.
the message
okay.
you would,
That's called labeling.
the message you would give is that just because a few crazy people have done crazy things doesn't mean this movement needs to be feared.
And just because somebody said it was a sovereign, does not
May
mean
we-
it was
Just let-
sovereign.
May we
Yeah, it's
not
more of an
interrupt? I
awakening,
mean, that's
and
one of the
it's
problems
not-
we're having here tonight. I've been sitting here quietly,
been very
listening,
quiet.
and just observing. And constant interruption, that's one of the problems. You get disconnected here. You know, I get a little passionate, but let's have some respect for one another so we can share, okay? One of the things I would like to say, I'm a very strong constitutionalist. I have been for years. And I, in this Pinellas